Special episode today with my guy Jamion Franklin, 6-year captain at Duke University football team. Jamion, pleasure to have you on.
Glad to be on, bro. You know, I do anything for you.
So a little background. I played with Jamion at Notre Dame for 3 seasons, and we were in the training room together. We've been through injuries together, got through rehab together. Now Jamion is at Duke, starting. He's at his third season at Duke, playing under Coach Elko. He's a captain on the team, making plays on the team. So obviously Notre Dame and Duke just played, and so this is a conversation that I low-key wanted to have before the game, but obviously we having it after the game, and I'm excited that you had time to come on the show. But man, I appreciate you hopping on. It's been some time, since we talked. But like I said, I watched the game, this past weekend and saw you doing your thing, especially in that 5 ball. Got the single digit, got the C on your chest. Just talk about the transition and just this season so far for Duke, because there's been maybe not as great expectations before the season. Like y'all had 9 wins. Everybody's expecting you to come back and have a good season, but getting a early win against Clemson, having a game day against Notre Dame, and that game going down to the wire. Just talk about the group and the camaraderie on the team that you guys have so far.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, our biggest thing is that we wanted to show everybody that we mean business. Last year was a good season. Was definitely one to get us noticed, but there was no secret that as opposed to last season to this season, the level of competition is going up. So it's just us really understanding and having that level of confidence, being in year 2 under the new staff, and doing things that we haven't done before to just show everybody that this is what we're about. This is what Duke football is now, and we've elevated the standard. So getting off to a good start with Clemson this year really shocked everybody. But it wasn't a surprise to us. We've been putting in the work, and we have the belief in ourselves. And obviously going down to the wire with Notre Dame, having the game day experience, and really showing the country that we mean business and we can compete with the top teams in the country.
Mm-hmm. You talk about you raising that standard, and obviously you came from Notre Dame, where the standard, is a national championship. It is, college football playoffs and things like that. When you were at Notre Dame, and talk about the transfer, we're gonna talk about the transfer portal and just how all that thing shapes out. But when you were at Notre Dame and you talk about the standard there, and then when you're thinking about transferring, looking at different schools, talk about just the standard at Duke and just what made Duke, interest you into choosing there at the end of the day.
Well, ultimately, like you said, like Notre Dame is the expectations are so high. The level of football and the tradition that's already been built is very high. It's top notch. It's hard to find that anywhere else. But at Duke, it attracted me because I wasn't going to get my degree from Notre Dame, transferring as a undergrad, a junior. So the academic brand and the networking that Duke has is second to none. I mean, you look up Duke and you get that brand and that network, and it's incredible. So ultimately, the degree was a big thing for me. And to play in the ACC, I mean, being at Notre Dame, not being in a conference, but having heavy ties to the ACC showed me that the top competition is in the ACC. So I'd be a fool to try to go play anywhere else other than what I'm comfortable with, what I'm familiar with, and where I'll be challenged playing the Clemsons, playing the Notre Dames, playing Florida States. So it's just so many opportunities to play top-notch ball and be on the ACC network, ESPN, all of that. So those two things were definitely things that I couldn't ignore when I was going through the process.
Yeah, that Florida State game coming up going to be definitely one I'm going to tune into for sure. But talk about the transfer portal a little bit, because I feel like when I was in college, the transfer portal wasn't maybe towards the end of my career it started to become a thing, and obviously NIL wasn't a thing yet, but the transfer portal, where it was like when I was in school, a kid transfers, they got to sit out a year and then they're able to play, or if they're a graduate transfer, they're able to play the next year, or Justin Fields' case, if there was something that issues that went wrong at that program, they transfer, they're allowed to play. Kind of just talk about your experience with it, because when I see kids transfer, especially kids that I play with or kids that I know, when they see them transfer, it's like they probably transferring for a better opportunity. Yes, they love their brothers. They love the program that they at the university, but it's just like at the end of the day, you got to get yours. We all started playing this game since we was kids because of our dream to go to the NFL. We want to produce on the field. And so at previous university, that might not be the case. And I feel like some fans or the community or just some people from the outside may see it as, oh, you're leaving the program, you're not a part of the culture, you're not, you're not a man of your word, things like that. So talk about just like maybe just your experience going through it and just why you might have, decided to enter the transfer portal.
Well, ultimately, like many other things that you and I know of playing this game of college football, is fans don't know what they don't know. They don't know what we go through. They don't know what we put our bodies through to to be able to play this game or to be able to practice this game, because you practice more than you play, and the workouts and all of that is much longer than the ultimate goal of them seeing you run out the tunnel in the gold helmet or whatever. So, yeah, I'd say they don't know what they don't know, and I think for me, I'm grateful for the transfer portal. Obviously, it's given me an opportunity to be here in my 6th year of college football, which I used to remember always cracking on you for being an old guy and
Man.
never that I did this position. And look how the tables have turned. So, just grateful. It gives guys a second opportunity, gives them a chance to really find themselves. And if that's their goal is to mold themselves into reaching their potential or getting a new start to play this game that you give so much in order to play, then I'm all for it. Obviously, it sucks when guys are abusing it or whatever, but I've never really seen anybody go into it with like bad intentions. I mean, it's always been, for me personally, to get another opportunity to get my degree, because that's huge, and to really find myself and find my potential, and that's what Duke has given me. So I'm really grateful for the transfer portal. Everybody thinks it's just some like monotonous thing. Guys are running for the first exit, but I mean, ultimately, it's not like that. For me, you put your name in it. That's another thing. Like, you talk to compliance. I know many people don't really interact with compliance, but they're like, that's their job. Like, they help guys out who are in that position. So, and it really ultimately is like recruiting again. I mean, everybody's done the visits, the communicating with staffs and all of that. So it's just like literally like recruiting 2.0, and in my opinion, at least, your Twitter DMs, your phone, email, all of that's in a database, and they reach out to you, show interest, you show your film and all of that. So literally like recruiting 2.0, but you're at a different stage in your life. You're not a teenager anymore for the most part. For me, it was 21, 20. So, just being older and, knowing what you're looking for. So I think it'd be an easier decision to make.
Mm-hmm. You talk about being older, and knowing what you're looking for. You were at Notre Dame, Coach. You were a freshman at Coach Elko's year at Notre Dame.
No, I came in. He was at A&M. I came in when
He was at A&M. Okay,
he left.
so you necessarily obviously didn't get to play for Coach Elko, but obviously having the ties to Notre Dame. But he probably recruited you,
Yeah.
during that process. And so you talk about knowing what you want, obviously recruiting 2.0 and going back to the guy that recruited you to Notre Dame. Obviously he was at Duke. So when did in your transfer, process, in your recruiting process, when did Duke, start to interest you?
So they were always, when I entered the portal, they always were like a school that I had interest in. It's much closer to home, and just again like the opportunity for the academic excellence and to play in the ACC. And Elko didn't get here until my second year, which is crazy. Because
Okay.
again, like many people are like, "Oh, you came here because Elko." And I'm like, I was here with Cutcliffe and that whole
Mm-hmm.
staff through that. So they were definitely interested, like very like an interest for me. They had a really good D-line coach and Ben Albert, who recruited me in high school, and just communicating with some of the guys that had success on his D line and what he was about. It was just a good opportunity for me to come and learn under him.
Mm-hmm. And now you didn't get recruited by Elko, but now you're with Elko. And so, some of the things that I've found out, playing for Elko is the man's a genius.
Mm-hmm.
It's low key his way or the highway as well. So
Literally.
for a player who thinks they're smart, who likes to make plays and things like that, and to challenge Elko, it was challenging for me
Mm-hmm.
to accept that into a DC. But it was one of the seasons where I made the most plays and was able to just go out there and play fast, play free, and
Mm-hmm.
do my thing and play within the system that he has, and then just also listen to the knowledge that he has. And so Now, obviously, you come in. He comes in your second season. We talked about this a little bit off the camera, but your second season there, you start making plays. I think you said at this point, we had like 5 games into the season, 6 games into the season, you had 13 tackles and just making plays and wrecking havoc. Talk about just the change for you into that going into that second year, and then even ultimately into this third year under Elko's defense.
Well, for me, it's I didn't my first year here at Duke, I played, but I wasn't as much as I had hoped for or anticipated, and just a whole lot of things went into that. But Elko getting here, obviously, we had that familiarity with each other, and he recruited me to be a big piece in his defense at Notre Dame before he went to A&M. So there's just the belief that he had and the confidence that he had in me, and understanding that I'm the same guy, and he's seen what I'm capable of. So. We hit it off pretty much with that. When he brought the D tackle coach in, he let him know, he was like, "Look, like I know what this guy is about. I've seen what he's able to do." So really just went to work from there, and just coming into what he expected me to be, and just reaching the expectations that I have for myself, and also what he has for me as being the nose guard of this defense at 4-2-5. So yeah, everything just hit off. And I mean, like you said, he's a genius. He knows how to scheme things up. He knows how to put me in positions to make plays and also do my job in the piece of the defense. So.
Hmm. And I feel like a lot of people might not understand this, but as a college football player, as a journey you've been on, there's a lot of uncertainty. From the time that you leave your parents, house, or even before that, during the recruiting process, it's like you're telling a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid to make a decision on where they'll be for the next 4 or 5, maybe even 6 years. Where they'll go to school, where they'll pretty much live, where they'll play football, things like that. Whereas like your journey has been, there's been some uncertainty along the way. You get to Notre Dame, you battle an injury, you hit the transfer portal, don't really know where you're going. You end up at Duke. The coach that recruited you to Duke is now gone. Now you end up having Coach Elko, who turns out to be, a blessing in disguise. Kind of just talk about that journey, just as a recruit, going through college football, going through Notre Dame to end up at Duke. But I don't think that's the piece I want to touch on mainly is like I don't think a lot of people understand just the uncertainty that a college kid goes through, or that a college kid is faced up against. When ultimately all the kid wants to do is just play football. But it's like life comes into play and adversity comes into play. Kind of just, talk about your mindset through it all and how you kind of just been able to just keep pushing and keep believing to get to where you are right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's been tough. It's no secret. I know a good buddy of mine at Notre Dame that you're probably really familiar with, Trevor Rulin. We used to hang out in the training room together. He told me that one day I should write a book. And I think I could, man. There's been a lot. I mean, ultimately, before I got to Notre Dame, my dad had leukemia. So going through that and him missing a big part of my life, my senior season and everything, that really hurt. And that was really tough to go through, especially going 11 hours away to play college football. A lot of mental struggles and mental issues, a lot of adversity that as being a freshman and, wanting to be as best as you can and things not going your way. So all of that. And then on top of that, having a big injury, first injury of my life, first time I've ever had to miss a football season. So just things just piling and piling. And ultimately, like being young and going through all of that, I didn't handle it the best way, obviously. You never go through that before, being away from home, being away from your support system that you've built rapport with your whole life. So just really understanding how to use resources, use sports sites, and talk to coaches and all of that has been a big piece of me becoming who I am. Ultimately transferring, coming here, things not going my way at first, but just staying the course. I think that the biggest thing for me is when I decided to hit the transfer portal was I was going to bet on myself. And anytime that I reached adversity, I was going to double down. And ultimately, it's gotten me to where I am now. Last season, finding out my mom had cancer, things like that, just like the adversity on top of the adversity. I think that's what's gotten me to where I am now. I got married after the bowl game last year. So my wonderful wife has been a big part of, who I am and what I do for. So just understanding that, no matter where you are in life, and it was a big thing for me to find out, you're never alone. You may feel alone. You may feel like everything's coming at you, but to use your resources. And that's what I wish I would have knew my freshman year at Notre Dame. So I'm grateful now being in a sixth year and being about to be 24 next month is understanding that resources are there, and you'd be a fool not to use them.
Hmm. I was talking to DJ Brown about this because when y'all come in and y'all youngsters, and I've been in school for 3-4 years now, and y'all come in and say, and like it's so bright eyed, and it's just like, it's, you talked about it earlier, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And that's like it's good and bad of a freshman, because you come into it with just like high expectations, going out there just having fun, doing what you do. But like me and you, our freshman year, we were both faced with adversity, and kind of, you being faced with adversity early, it kind of forces you to grow up early. It kind of forces you to grow up quick. And so being able to see you go through your rehab process, and being able to now see you where you are, pretty similar to my career, freshman injury, having a battle adversity, not get on the field till later on in my career, but 6 year being able to be a captain, and have and allow people on the team to see the leader you are, and then also in the play that you have, like you can see the passion. When people read up on your story, they see where it come from. Just talk about, because obviously you can't, for me, being a captain at Notre Dame was something that I like. When I was younger, I looked at it and was like, oh, it's cool, like there's captains, whatever, I'll just write their name down, whoever gets selected. But like, I feel like when it came almost my turn, I was like, if they don't put my name down, if I'm not captain, it's like, after all I've been through, I'm gonna be hot. And
Right.
so it was just something like, unknowingly, like just over time and just over the work that you put in, it's just like, dang, it's such a huge accomplishment. And for you, transferring, getting a fresh start at a new school, and then having new guys, new teammates, see the guy you are, see the character that you have, and put the work in and day out. When you were announced captain this year, kind of just talk about the feelings that you had when you were announced.
I mean, it was huge. I mean, ultimately, I kind of got the vibe. We got one guy that plays next to me, Dwayne Carter, who's a three-time captain. So I kind of expected him to, be a captain again. And Jacob, and our quarterback, who's phenomenal, Riley. So I expected those guys, but I didn't really know who else was going to fill the void. So that was me. All spring I prided myself in stepping up, being more vocal, and ultimately, I felt like I was a supporting cast for the captains last year, being an older guy, being a starter, being a playmaker, being somebody that guys could look up to for the adversity and be accountable and, just lead. So I was a great feeling. It didn't really hit me until, like, again, like people like you talk about it, and, like the staff and things like that, of like, yeah, like I transferred, I came to a new school, I earned the respect of my teammates, and I was made a captain. So it was definitely a good feeling, and it was a whole run of emotions in the meeting when it was announced. But I feel like it was something that, like, I could say that, like, I truly earned. And I mean, regardless of if I was selected or not, I wasn't going to change who I was. I was still going to lead just like I did last year, as far as being a supporting guy that, sometimes the captains can't get the message through. So, you got to have somebody to step up and be a leader and help them. So that was going to be my role regardless. But to ultimately earn that C was definitely something that I was proud of.
Because it is truly one of those things that you go out there and you earn. Like, it's not. I mean, obviously, it could be voted on by the coaches, voted on by the staff, the players, but as if you haven't been in the locker room, like, it's one thing to go out there and earn the respect of 90 other players. You know what I mean? Day in and day out, because when we all have to go out and do the same thing, and we all have to this dream of maybe wanting to play at the next level, wanting to start. We all have a dream of being a captain, but only a select few people can do it. So kudos to you. That's, I mean, a huge accomplishment. It was, I mean, when I got named captain, it was one of those things where, outside of like, maybe like outside of like making my first big play, like that was like one of the other, that I was like, that was like next to like one of my greatest accomplishments, because now it's like, whenever I speak to someone, whenever I go back to Notre Dame, whatever I do, it's like, okay, I was a former captain here. Like, it's, you got like a different sense of pride. And so, uh, congrats to you. I know the work that you put in. I know how hard it was to even get there. And so, touching on, obviously Notre Dame and Duke, and you had the opportunity to play Notre Dame, play your former teammates, play your homies. I know you saw Nana again. I know that was probably a great reunion, and just
So,
some of the other guys that you played with and grew a relationship with. But just talk about the, probably when you looked on the schedule, it was like you probably had it, you knew you were going to play. There's probably one Elko had circled, that's one you had circled, but obviously the season takes place and things get jambled and whatever. But now that the week comes up to it and they announce college game day, y'all both undefeated. Notre Dame just lost to Ohio State, and then the season that y'all got going on so far. Just talk about the emotions up to that week, preparation for that week, and then just ultimately when it came game time.
I mean, ultimately, it kind of felt like a blur. I mean, like,
Mm.
again, like those are my guys. Like I spent 3 years of my career, of my life, like forming bonds and relationships with them, and I've been 3 years removed from it all, and cultivating and building the culture that we have here at Duke. So it was weird, watching the film and like, how you get the scouting reports and all of that, and the write ups of, what is this guy going to do? What is he good at? And yada yada. But like I know these
Mhm.
guys, and I know the tendencies. I practiced against them, and obviously there's some new younger guys that I wasn't around, but it was different. It was a different feeling, and I think it didn't really hit me that like we were playing Notre Dame until we came down for our Friday walkthrough and I saw the equipment truck. I was like, oh man, this is real.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was good though. Like I approached it, and like it's just one of those games that like you don't need any external motivation for. Like obviously, like I get a crack at my former team, and things didn't pan out the way that I wanted to them there. So I get to show them like, I revitalized myself and rebuilt myself to my potential. So it was ultimately definitely a good feeling to get out there. Seeing JD and Cam and all the captains out there at the coin toss, I was like, all right, it's time to get after it. So ultimately, it was a
Mhm.
good feeling. I think the weirdest and the funniest part of the game was the first field goal attempt when I saw my Milk out there, and I was like, man, it's like that's my guy right there. Not
Yeah.
Hall. That's what I thought of, not Hall right there. So it was definitely a good feeling, and obviously after the game, catching up with the guys and seeing Dr. Leisler and Rob Hunt and
Mhm.
Burris, and it just brought back a lot of good memories for sure.
Definitely. And then even just throughout that game, I mean, I watched it from home, and I'm over here like it was hard for a fan to watch it. That's for a Notre Dame fan to watch that game because y'all was balling, bro. Like
Mhm.
y'all defense was showing up. I mean, it was really pretty much a defensive game, throughout the time. But y'all defense was showing up. You had a great sack, and just kind of just ebbs and flows of that game. And obviously we know, but when the game is going on, you don't really have time to just like to think about what's happening or replays or whatever, or how the outcome might be or anything like that. You're so locked in on the game.
Mhm.
So now that you had time to like review the film, y'all on a bye week this week, so like now that you have time to review the film, look it over, what, or maybe even you watch the TV copy, what was some things that stuck out to you in that game, whether it was how hard y'all played, the plays you didn't make, anything like that, or just even the fans, the atmosphere, anything like that.
Well, it was definitely like I'd say the best atmosphere of college football that I've ever played in. The closest thing that I could compare to it is last year when we were undefeated and we went to Kansas, and
Mhm.
Kansas was undefeated, and Jalen Daniels is a phenomenal athlete, so that place was really rocking. But when it's your own house, it's a prime time game. It was a great feeling, and I mean, I think the biggest thing that really stood out to us was our ability to control the line of scrimmage. I know that we had really like emphasized stopping the run the week. We know that Seven's a phenomenal running back, probably one of the best, if not the best, that we'll see all year. So I was really like a man maker. Like it really was like on us, and we took pride as a D line of like we got to own the line of scrimmage, and I think it really held up to that. But I think that another thing is just like the level of communication that we have to have as a defense is not to the level that we need it to be yet. And it was ultimately sick how the game ended, and it's definitely disappointing. But we had opportunities. We had opportunities to close it out, And it's something that we pride ourselves in being able to finish games, and regardless of how the offenses are going, because it was a defensive game, like you said, we need to be able to take it upon ourselves to own the game and close the game out when it needs to be done, because our offense got it going in the second half, and it just came down to a 2 minute drive that we couldn't capitalize on. So definitely was ultimately the atmosphere that we want. And I told the guys when I was getting them going in the beginning of the game is like, you build it and they will come. So I don't think that this feeling that's around Duke football is going to go anywhere anytime soon, as long as we keep handling business like we've been.
Mhm. Yeah, and that was one thing I was actually talking to my homie this morning. That was one thing that I was, not, I wouldn't say surprised about, because y'all had a good team last year. Duke has always been able to produce NFL, caliber talent, whether it be a quarterback, whether it be a receiver, different talent, different pieces at each spots. And so it wasn't that not necessarily that. And I saw the game against Clemson, so I knew y'all was for real. So it
Mhm.
wasn't necessarily like a surprise that when y'all came out there that y'all were going to be in the game. But I was surprised, how you talked about controlling the line of scrimmage. I think I would say y'all dominated, the line of scrimmage, and real defensive battle. And for me, that was a fun part as a fan. It sucked because I wanted to see Notre Dame put up a lot of points or just, close it out early. But y'all did y'all thing. And so you talked about, that feeling is not going anywhere. We talk about, the ACC championship is still a goal. Y'all got Florida State coming up and things like that, where it's the competition, one loss, similar with Notre Dame. They got one loss, but season's still in front of them. Y'all got one loss, season still in front of y'all. Y'all got another ranked opponents, undefeated opponents in front of y'all as well. So heading into this bye week, what were some things that y'all focused on, to obviously resting up, but what were some things that y'all focused on, that y'all touched on in film this week, that's going to help y'all, achieve that ACC championship goal and, 10 plus win season?
I think that the biggest thing was just ripping the band-aid off. I mean, it would sick to your stomach to have that feeling, to lose a game like that way. So addressing the problems, going through that 2 minute drive together as a defense, it makes your stomach turn, but it's just something that you got to do. And I mean, we're a really mature and old football team, so it's just something we got to be able to do, and just understanding that we're going to be in that situation again. We're going to be in those kind of environments again. So we got to prepare ourselves, because that, like I said, this isn't a feeling that's going away. And great, we've put ourselves in this position to play some meaningful football games, and we've got some meaningful football games coming down the way because it's ACC play time now. So um, it's been a good week. I think that we've had a good week of practice. We've adjusted to what's ahead, and we've moved forward. It was a hard loss to be able to deal with, but I think that this team is ready to bounce back. And unfortunate we're not able to play this weekend, having to bye. But I
Mhm.
think the guys attack this week, and I think that when it comes to next week, we'll be ready to roll and we'll respond the right way.
Mhm. Now, in addition to your leadership on the field, you're also a leader in the community, and you talk about some of the adversity that you've dealt with your parents, and helping them out, and being a pivotal piece into pushing their story forward, pushing your story forward. Kind of talk about just some of the work that you've done in the community, but also just maybe some charitable work that you've done to raise awareness for your father, for your mother, and just other things like that.
Yeah, so I was, it's a blessing to be a part of the AFCA Good Works team this off season. It wasn't really a goal that I was reaching for, but it's great to be recognized. But nah, man, I feel like I would be remiss in everything that I've been through in my journey to not give back and to inspire. I know that I've been really big on getting involved with the youth in the Durham community. The food pantry is another thing that is really dear to my heart. Growing up. Being close to the poverty line and really struggling with food and things like that. There's a lot of food banks that bailed me out back in the day to make sure that my belly was full and I was able to keep going. So eternally grateful for my situation. And yeah, giving back is something that's really pivotal and critical for me. I know that the Be the Match program came, and it was really tough. I know that I was fortunate enough to be a match for my father, to help him out and get to remission for him. So just getting people, raising the awareness and hopefully that, they'll be able to help somebody out. Like I was fortunate enough to help my father. That was a big thing for me. But yeah, just being around and being open to all aspects of making this Durham community better and treating it as my own. Because I mean, I've been here for 3 years and I've grown closer, and the people that support us are also the ones that need support from us and the platform that we hold. So, utmost respect for the Durham community. And as long as I'm here, I'll continue to raise awareness and help out as much as I can.
No, definitely, and I know you've reached out to, obviously, some of us and some of your former teammates at Notre Dame to help out in any way that we can. With this platform, my goal is to raise awareness, to bring the audience, bring the community together through sports, but also bring them to a point where they can help out in any way that they can, if need may be. So if there, if there's a link, or if there's, a website or any way that we can kind of, help out your mom's situation, your dad's situation, or anyone, like that is going through that situation dear to you, please share that information now. And then I'll also throw it in like the bio for people to check out as well.
Okay, for sure. Yeah, we can coordinate that.
All right, dope. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate, when I reached out to you, we was gonna make it happen last week, but obviously it probably, from a PR standpoint, it definitely didn't make sense to do it because
Yeah.
we didn't want no bulletin board material,
Yeah.
that Notre Dame could use, or that that would hurt y'all or anything like that. So completely understood that, and I appreciate you making it work the next week for sure. And so, man, I wish you nothing but success. I wish you nothing but health the rest of this season. Tell Elko I said what's up. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And I low key agree with, I mean that PI call at the end of the game, they picked up the flag. I'm glad they picked it up because it wasn't PI, but it was one of those things. It was funny seeing like Elko's reaction, Elko's face. Because now he's on the field. Before, he used to be in the booth when he was with us. So now it's funny seeing him in that situation. But I mean, y'all keep killing it, bro. Y'all keep doing your thing. Best wishes to your quarterback as well. Hopefully, he healed fast, and go get him. Go win the ACC.
I appreciate it, man. I love everything that you're doing with this. I always knew that this would be something that you would be doing when you were done playing. So proud of you. Glad to catch up with you. And, best of luck to you in the future with all of your endeavors as well, man. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm glad you knew because I had no idea. I didn't think I didn't think I would be, because it was one of those things, and I think this is something you should get into, especially you talk about writing a book. This
Mhm.
is like my version of a book, man. It's just like the adversity that I've been through, the struggles that I went through. Now it's an opportunity to have a platform and bring people together and share other stories, because at the end of the day, it's like it's going to be 99 point or 98.9% of people not going to make it to the pro level.
Right.
But we all have an experience throughout our career playing. So this is a platform for that, a platform to gain your individual brand, to grow awareness for all the things you may be going through. So that's my goal here, and I appreciate you obviously furthering that message, furthering that mission. So for any fans out there, audience out there, follow us at Varsity House Podcast. Check us out on YouTube. Any audio podcast platform that you get your audio, that you listen to, we on there as well. Jamion Franklin, Duke captain, appreciate you coming on again, brother.
Thank you.